The education that India needs. In reply to your questions about the methods of work, the most important thing I have to say is that the work should be started on a scale which would be commensurate with the results desired. I have heard much of your liberal mind, patriotism, and steady perseverance from my friend Miss Muller, and the proof of your erudition is evident. I look upon it as a great good fortune that you are desirous to know what little this insignificant life has been able to attempt. I shall state it to you here as far as I can. But first, I shall lay before you my mature convictions for your deliberation. We have been slaves forever, that is, it has never been given to the masses of India to express the inner light which is their inheritance. The Occident has been rapidly advancing towards freedom for the last few centuries. In India, it was the king who used to prescribe everything from Kulinism down to what one should eat and what one should not. In Western countries, the people do everything themselves. The king now has nothing to say in any social matter. On the other hand, the Indian people have not yet even the least faith in themselves. What to say of self reliance? The faith in one's own self, which is the basis of Vedanta, has not yet been even slightly carried into practice. It is for this reason that the Western method, that is, first of all, discussion about the wished for end, then the carrying it out by the combination of all the forces, is of no avail even now in this country. It is for this reason that we appear so greatly conservative under foreign rule. If this be true, then it is a vain attempt to do any great work by means of public discussion. There is no chance of a headache where there is no head. Where is the public? Besides, we are so devoid of strength that our whole energy is exhausted if we undertake to discuss anything. None is left for work. It is for this reason, I suppose, we observe in Bengal almost always much cry but little wool. Secondly, as I have written before, I do not expect anything from the rich people of India. It is best to work among the youth, in whom lies our hope, patiently, steadily, and without noise. Now about work. From the day when education and culture, etc., began to spread gradually from patricians to plebeians, grew the distinction between the modern civilization as of Western countries and the ancient civilization as of India, Egypt, Rome, etc. I see it before my eyes. A nation is advanced in proportion as education and intelligence spread among the masses. The chief cause of India's ruin has been the monopolizing of the whole education and intelligence of the land by dint of pride and royal authority among a handful of men. If we are to rise again, we shall have to do it in the same way, that is, by spreading education among the masses. A great fuss has been made for half a century about social reform. Traveling through various places of India these last 10 years, I observed the country full of social reform associations, but I did not find one association for them by sucking whose blood the people known as gentlemen have become and continue to be gentlemen. How many sepoys were brought by the Mussulmans? How many Englishmen are there? Where, except in India, can be had millions of men who will cut the throats of their own fathers and brothers for 6 rupees? 60 millions of Mussulmans in 700 years of Mohammedan rule, and 2 millions of Christians in 100 years of Christian rule. What makes it so? Why has originality entirely forsaken the country? Why are our deft fingered artisans daily becoming extinct, unable to compete with the Europeans? By what power again has the German laborer succeeded in shaking the many century grounded firm footing of the English laborer? Education, education, education alone. Traveling through many cities of Europe and observing in them the comforts and education of even the poor people, there was brought to my mind the state of our own poor people, and I used to shed tears. What made the difference? Education was the answer I got. Through education comes faith in one's own self, and through faith in one's own self, the inherent Brahman is waking up in them, while the Brahman in us is gradually becoming dormant. In New York, I used to observe the Irish colonists come, downtrodden, haggard looking, destitute of all possessions at home, penniless and wooden headed, with their only belongings a stick and a bundle of rags hanging at the end of it, fright in their steps, alarm in their eyes. A different spectacle in 6 months. The man walks upright. His attire is changed. In his eyes and steps, there is no more sign of fright. What is the cause? Our Vedanta says that Irishman was kept surrounded by contempt in his own country. The whole of nature was telling him with one voice, Pat, you have no more hope. You are born a slave and will remain so. Having been thus told from his birth, Pat believed in it and hypnotized himself that he was very low, and the Brahman in him shrank away. While no sooner had he landed in America than he heard the shout going up on all sides, Pat, you are a man as we are. It is man who has done all. A man like you and me can do everything. Have courage. Pat raised his head and saw that it was so. The Brahman within woke up. Nature herself spoke, as it were, Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Likewise, the education that our boys receive is very negative. The schoolboy learns nothing, but has everything of his own broken down. Want of Shraddha is the result. The Shraddha which is the keynote of the Veda and the Vedanta, the Shraddha which emboldened Nachiketa to face Yama and question him, through which Shraddha this world moves, the annihilation of that Shraddha. Agnyascha Shraddadhanascha Samshayatma Vinashyati. The ignorant, the man devoid of Shraddha, the doubting self runs to ruin. Therefore are we so near destruction. The remedy now is the spread of education. First of all, self knowledge. I do not mean thereby matted hair, staff, kamandalu, and mountain caves, which the word suggests. What do I mean then? Cannot the knowledge by which is attained even freedom from the bondage of worldly existence bring ordinary material prosperity? Certainly it can. Freedom, dispassion, renunciation, all these are the very highest ideals. But swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little of this dharma saves one from the great fear of birth and death. Dualist, qualified monist, Shaiva, Vaishnava, Shakta, even the Buddhist and the Jain and others, whatever sects have arisen in India, are all at one in this respect that infinite power is latent in this Jivatman, individualized soul. From the ant to the perfect man, there is the same Atman in all, the difference being only in manifestation. As a farmer breaks the obstacles to the course of water, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Kaivalya Pada 3. That power manifests as soon as it gets the opportunity and the right place and time. From the highest god to the meanest grass, the same power is present in all, whether manifested or not. We shall have to call forth that power by going from door to door. Secondly, along with this, education has to be imparted. That is easy to say, but how to reduce it into practice? There are thousands of unselfish, kind hearted men in our country who have renounced everything. In the same way as they travel about and give religious instructions without any remuneration, so at least half of them can be trained as teachers or bearers of such education as we need most. For that, we want first of all a center in the capital of each presidency, from whence to spread slowly throughout the whole of India. 2 centers have recently been started in Madras and Calcutta. There is hope of more soon. Then the greater part of the education to the poor should be given orally. Time is not yet ripe for schools. Gradually, in these main centers will be taught agriculture, industry, etc., and workshops will be established for the furtherance of arts. To sell the manufactures of those workshops in Europe and America, associations will be started like those already in existence. It will be necessary to start centers for women, exactly like those for men. But you are aware how difficult that is in this country. Again, the snake which bites must take out its own poison, and that this is going to be is my firm conviction. The money required for these works would have to come from the West, and for that reason, our religion should be preached in Europe and America. Modern science has undermined the basis of religions like Christianity. Over and above that, luxury is about to kill the religious instinct itself. Europe and America are now looking towards India with expectant eyes. This is the time for philanthropy. This is the time to occupy the hostile strongholds. In the West, women rule. All influence and power are theirs. If bold and talented women like yourself, versed in Vedanta, go to England to preach, I am sure that every year hundreds of men and women will become blessed by adopting the religion of the land of Bharata. The only woman who went over from our country was Ramabai. Her knowledge of English, Western science, and art was limited, prized all. If anyone like you goes, England will be stirred. What to speak of America? If an Indian woman in Indian dress preached there the religion which fell from the lips of the rishis of India, I see a prophetic vision. There will rise a great wave which will inundate the whole Western world. Will there be no women in the land of Maitreyi, Khana, Leelavati, Savitri, and Ubhaya Bharati who will venture to do this? The Lord knows. England we shall conquer, England we shall possess, through the power of spirituality. Nanyaf pantha vidyate yanaya. There is no other way of salvation. Can salvation ever come by getting up meetings and societies? Our conquerors must be made devas by the power of our spirituality. I am a humble mendicant, an itinerant monk. I am helpless and alone. What can I do? You have the power of wealth, intellect, and education. Will you forego this opportunity? Conquest of England, Europe, and America. This should be our one supreme mantra at present. In it lies the well being of the country. Expansion is the sign of life, and we must spread over the world with our spiritual ideals. Alas, this frame is poor. Moreover, the physique of a Bengali. Even under this labor, a fatal disease has attacked it. There is the hope. Utpatsyatesti mama kopi samana dharma kalo hyahyam niravadhir vipula cha prithvi. A kindred spirit is or will be born out of the limitless time and populous earth to accomplish the work. Bhavabhuti. About vegetarian diet, I have to say this. First, my master was a vegetarian, but if he was given meat offered to the goddess, he used to hold it up to his head. The taking of life is undoubtedly sinful, but so long as vegetable food is not made suitable to the human system through progress in chemistry, there is no other alternative but meat eating. So long as man shall have to live a Rajasika active life under circumstances like the present, there is no other way except through meat eating. It is true that the Emperor Ashoka saved the lives of millions of animals by the threat of the sword, but is not the slavery of 1,000 years more dreadful than that? Taking the life of a few goats as against the inability to protect the honor of one's own wife and daughter, and to save the morsels for one's children from robbing hands. Which of these is more sinful? Rather let those belonging to the upper ten, who do not earn their livelihood by manual labor, not take meat, but the forcing of vegetarianism upon those who have to earn their bread by laboring day and night is one of the causes of the loss of our national freedom. Japan is an example of what good and nourishing food can do. May the all powerful Vishveshwari inspire your heart.